Sex is the life force energy that runs through us all. Can you use sexual energy for your spiritual evolution? Or perhaps for emotional healing? Is it even possible? Clinical sexologist Dr. Martha Tara Lee will explore all these and more on Eros Evolution on Om Times Radio.
Welcome to Eros Evolution, where sexuality and spirituality meets. This is Dr. Martha Tara Lee. I'm a clinical sexologist based in Singapore, and my company is called Eros Coaching. That's eroscoaching.com. I have published 2 books so far, and today I have another author who has published 3 books. And this person has been somebody I've been looking forward to having on the show for a very long time, and we are very fortunate to have her. She's quite famous. Today we are talking about senior sex, and the title of today's show is Talking Out Loud About Senior Sex with author Joan Price. Sex changes with age, but that doesn't mean we can't maintain or regain our sexual zest and enjoyment as our bodies age. You'll want to hear Joan's useful tips for enhancing your sexual arousal and satisfaction, whether you're partnered or solo. We'll be talking in today's show about the lack of desire, sex toys, safer sex, solo sex, erectile difficulties, dating at our age, and much more. So more about Joan Price. Joan Price calls herself an advocate for ageless sexuality. She has been called other things by the media, including senior sexpert, the beautiful face of senior sex, and her favorite wrinkly sex kitten. Joan is the author of the new Ultimate Guide to Sex After 50, How to Maintain or Regain a Spicy, Satisfying Sex Life. She's also the award-winning author of self-help book Naked at Our Age, Talking Out Loud About Senior Sex, and the sexy memoir Better Than I Ever Expected, Straight Talk About Sex After 60. I've read both books and I really love them. At age 72, Joan continues to talk out loud about senior sex, partnered or solo, in speeches and workshops, and in her zesty blog about sex and aging, nakedatourage.com, where she has been offering senior sex news, views, and sex toy reviews for 11 years. Welcome, Joan. Thank you so much for coming on today's show.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Martha. I'm so glad to be talking to you and to your audience.
I'm so delighted, so excited. Thank you so much once again. So, okay, let's just start.
Let's just talk about senior sex. Where would you like to start?
So, there are lots of misconceptions that people have about sex. But what is the biggest misconception that you find about sex that you find among seniors themselves?
The biggest misconception that our age group has, is that if things don't work the way they did before, in our 20s, 30s, even 40s, that means that we're on a rapid downhill slide to no sex at all. And that's not true. We are sexual beings lifelong. There is no expiration date on our sexuality. If things don't work the way they used to, it means we find new ways to make them work.
So what are some of the ways that you would suggest to people about finding new ways to make things work?
It depends on what the issue is, of course. Mm-hmm. But in general, what we need to do is get good information, and that's what I do with my books and my speaking and my blog. And we need to have a spirit of adventure, and we need to have a sense of humor, because sometimes you just gotta laugh. So to be more specific, for the physiological changes, for any gender, we have slower arousal. It's often more difficult to reach orgasm. Often the things that turned us on before are not sufficient anymore. We need more stimulation. And so we need to understand that about ourselves, and we need to ask for that from our partners if we are lucky enough to be partnered, and we need to give that to ourselves if we are solo. We shouldn't see sex as just something we do if we happen to have a partner, because so many of us don't, and that's so important that we realize that sex with ourselves is as important as sex with a partner.
Okay. So some of the listeners out there may not be very convinced, because I myself have a lot of issues working with people who are solo, and they feel that their sexuality is not that important, and it can happen only when they have a partner. So is there any thing that you sometimes give to people who are single? What would you suggest to them?
Well, first of all, it is very easy to just put sex aside if we don't have a partner, because the older we get, the less we have the hormonal rush that says, oh, I have got to have some sex now. I got to do it now. We may not have that. Our sex drive may have just diminished enough that we can actually go hours, days, or weeks without thinking about it. Oh, no, it does happen. So the problem is, though, if we say, well, I'll just think about it when I have if I meet someone, then I will rev up my sex life again. For now, it doesn't matter. I'll do other things. There's a big problem with that, because the less we have sex, and by having sex, I mean experiencing sexual arousal and orgasm with ourselves, with a sex toy, with others. It doesn't matter. It's what happens in our own body. The less we do that, the more we deprive ourselves of that, the more difficult it becomes to get there when we finally want to. And this is such a scary thing. People don't realize it. They think, oh, we just, pick up again where we left off 10 years ago when I had a partner. No, you may find that that if you have a penis, it doesn't get erect, or you may find if you have a clitoris that it just doesn't feel anything. So we've got the way to keep ourselves sexual is to keep having sex, whether it's with ourselves, with sex toys, which I really recommend, or with other people. It's best just not to let it go. Besides that, in the Ultimate Guide to Sex After 50, and thank you for mentioning my new book, I list 33 health reasons for being sexual. It's good for us. It's not just good for our pleasure. It's good for our cardiovascular health. It's good for our nerve health. It's good for our emotional health. It's so good for us, and there's no reason to put it on a shelf. No reason at all.
Okay. Yeah.
And in fact, if I can add to that,
sure.
Martha.
Yes.
Our bodies are capable of this immense sexual pleasure. It is astounding the kind of pleasure we can give ourselves. It makes us feel so good afterwards. We may say, whoa, why don't I do that more often? Well, just do it more often, because it's good for us, good for health, good for well-being.
Yeah. I love what you're saying. Just do it. And
Yeah.
also for us sexologists, there's always this thing that we use to say, or we often say, which is if you don't use it, you lose it.
Exactly.
I like what you're saying. The less sex we have, the more deprived we feel, the more difficult it becomes when we want to have sex. And then it's scary because we think we can just resume later, but it's really not quite that way.
Exactly. And it's a little bit like saying, well, I don't need to exercise until it's time to put on a bikini.
Oh, yeah, that's a great one.
But by that time, we're really in bad shape. We Now, I got to say, the way to get a bikini body is just to put on a bikini. I'm not saying you have to be slender to wear a bikini. That's not at all what I'm saying. Curvy people can wear bikinis and rock those bikinis. But what I'm saying is, if you say, I'm not going to exercise because nobody's seeing my body right now, if anyone sees it, then that's the time to start. Well, by then, look how much harder it's going to be to get in shape. If instead we say, I'm just going to keep myself in shape all along. It feels good, looks good, it's good for health. It's the same thing with our sexual health. Exactly the same thing. If we keep ourselves in good sexual shape by experiencing frequent arousal and orgasm, then should we in the future be so lucky as to meet someone that we do want to go to bed with, it's not going to be a problem.
Thank you so much.
Primed. Yeah, I mean, I feel so strongly about this. You can tell that, I'll bet.
Yeah. I'm very interested in what you do in your personal life. You are an inspiration. I hope to be you when I grow up.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you are definitely one of my role models. Including my my other role model is my mom.
Yeah.
So we're with Joan Price, and we are talking about keeping in sexual shape. And you can find her at joanprice.com, and then there's her other blog, which is nakedatourourage.com. You may want to check out these sites as we go into break.
The future of Internet radio is here. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
Eros Evolution is where sexuality and spirituality meets. Join me, clinical sexologist Martha Tara Lee, on Eros Evolution on Thursdays, 4 p.m. Eastern on Om Times Radio.
Are you ready to shift your energy, consciousness, and limiting beliefs? Join me, Shefali Burns, every Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern on Shifting with Shefali here on Om Times Radio. Shift the blocks, limitations, and negative energies that have kept you from experiencing a life filled with joy, peace, love, abundance, and happiness. Are you ready to shift with Shefali? Are you ready to shine your brilliance?
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the Internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. Om Times Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single Om Times endeavor. Host your show with Om Times Radio Network. The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is. The cutting edge of conscious radio. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
Welcome back to Eros Evolution, and this is Dr. Martha Tara Lee with Joan Price. She's an award-winning author of 3 books, and her latest book is called The Ultimate Guide to Sex After 50. I have read the first 2 of her books, and I really love them. In fact, I was able to come across them in the National Library of Singapore, and that's how I first got them, and I later bought them. So it's quite rare actually in Singapore for books on sexuality to be on the shelves, and just goes to show that her books are really worthy reads, and that's why the library in Singapore actually got them. So you can find out more about my guest, Joan Price, by going to her website, joanprice.com, and also her other website, which is also her blog, nakedatourourage.com. So welcome back to the show.
Hi.
We were talking about how it's important to use it, otherwise you will lose it.
Yes.
What are some of the physical sexual challenges that seniors face besides what you mentioned just now, needing more time for arousal and more stimulation?
Well, we can talk about penis problems and we can talk about clitoral vaginal problems. The clitoral vaginal problems is often we don't feel that, what I call the tingle. We don't feel that, oh, yeah, would that be nice? That spurs us on to have sex. So we often don't even think about having sex or giving ourselves sexual pleasure because we don't feel that. And then if we're in a relationship, let's say we're in a long-term relationship, we may be saying no to our partner because we're not in the mood. So this is something that you as a sexologist, of course, know, that we can have responsive desire instead of spontaneous desire. This is such an important concept that just because we think we're not in the mood, we think we don't feel desire, if all things are going well, we're in a relationship that we feel safe and loving in, or we are alone and feel good about ourselves, and we start giving ourselves physiological pleasure, we'll find that the desire kicks in after that. I'm sure you've told your clients this.
Yeah.
But so many older people don't know that. They say, well, if I'm not in the mood, then I'll wait till I'm in the mood. You may be waiting for months. Don't wait till you're in the mood. Yeah. Make the mood happen. And the most common issue that I hear from people with penises is, I can't count on my erection. They say, I have erectile dysfunction. And sometimes they don't really mean that. What they mean is what is sometimes called erectile dissatisfaction. That's a term that I think Michael Castleman thought of. And I love that term because it means, erectile dysfunction means the penis does not get erect at all anymore. Not first thing in the morning, not with self-stimulation, not at all. But what most men experience instead of that is erectile dissatisfaction, meaning I can't count on it. I don't know if I can get erect or stay erect enough for penetration. I don't know if I'm going to lose it and so the anxiety contributes to making it even more difficult to keep the erection, because anxiety sets off the flight or fight reaction, and of course the blood goes to the muscles for running away from the lion instead of going to the penis where we want it. And the same thing happens to the clitoris. The same kind of arousal pattern physiologically. The clitoris has more nerve endings than the penis, as a matter of fact, despite the size. So if we are worried, oh, I'm not going to be able to reach orgasm, or I'm not going to be able to get aroused, then it's going to be even less likely. Yeah. So we need to relax about that. Make sex not just about the clitoris and the penis. Make it about, we have so many inches of skin in these wonderful bodies of ours. We don't have to just concentrate on the genitals. We can give pleasure to ourselves or our partners with fingers and tongue and sex toys. It doesn't have to be with an erect penis. There's just so much more we can do if we expand our idea of what sex is. I think that's really key.
Yes, definitely. I like what you're introducing to listeners, the concept of responsive versus spontaneous desire. One of the things that often happens with my clients is them saying things like, oh, I don't feel like it, therefore don't touch me.
Right.
Being responsive means allowing for touch to happen and then seeing how the body feels like doing, including stopping if necessary. So that will work a lot better with a lot of people just by being open to desire to happen.
You expressed that so well, Martha.
Thank you. I just summarizing a little bit what you're sharing. Also, I find that people who have more of a responsive desire, they often are not the ones who initiate first because they are not confident with what's going to happen in their bodies. And this is the same for men with people with penises, because they are not sure whether they're going to have an erection, and therefore they don't even try.
Right. So if they expand what sex is going to be, and they just take erections, forget erections. It'll happen or it won't happen. There's an awful lot to appreciate about ourselves and each other. And often, and one thing, too, that partners of people with penises don't often understand is that while the penis used to just snap to attention with any kind of stimulus, it could be visual, it could be tactile, it could be saying, "I want you now, honey," and okay, I'm ready. It doesn't happen that way anymore. It doesn't have to happen that way anymore. And it's not inferior sex, because a penis needs a lot more attention to get aroused.
Yeah, that's right.
We need to realize that if we are partnered with the penises.
Yeah, that's why I often tell my clients, just because the response is different, it doesn't mean it's not possible. It's just different.
We are different, and that's part of what I meant in the beginning about realizing that just because the old ways don't work anymore doesn't mean that nothing works. It just means we need to look at new ways, creative ways, and we need to take more time. A quickie might be an hour these days. And I'm not talking about intercourse for an hour. I'm talking about everything from the start of touching or kissing, or even just that great seductive smile that you want to give yourself or somebody else. Getting ready. Sometimes that first shower where you think, I'm touching myself now, but someone's going to be touching me soon. You know, all of this can be really sexy. We need a lot of what we used to call foreplay, and I don't like that because I don't like that word. I like the event. I don't like the word because it makes it sound as if anything other than intercourse is not really sex. It's all really sex.
Yeah, it's all sex. That's great. I also like what you shared about getting creative and having a spirit of adventure and humor. Sex is supposed to be fun, so more people should just laugh about it, you know?
And something else you brought up that your clients will say, if I'm not in the mood, then don't touch me. Here's what I suggest is to schedule sex dates with yourself or your partner, and to schedule sex dates at least twice a week. And here's why. At least once a week is what we need for sexual health, to keep everything working smoothly. But if we schedule it for twice a week, first of all, we'll have twice as much fun. But the other thing is, if life interferes, if you suddenly have something at work that you can't put off, or you get stuck in traffic and you can't get home, or whatever it is that interferes, you've still scheduled that backup time. So you'll still get your once a week. And people say to me when I suggest that, often people will just look, come on, Joan, sex should be spontaneous. Not anymore, honey, not anymore. Spontaneity is vastly overrated. It worked maybe when we were young, doesn't work now, often doesn't work now. There are the rare occasions. But if you count on spontaneity, you may say, oh, I forgot to have sex.
Yeah, true. If we schedule things that are important in our lives, why not sex?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And when you schedule it, it's more likely to happen. Like you said, as life gets busy, sometimes we miss that one time, and then we have the other time to make sure we get to it.
And the other thing that happens is we give ourselves sort of emotional foreplay, intellectual foreplay, because since we know we're going to have sex on, say, Wednesday afternoon, and I recommend mornings or afternoons rather than evenings. We can talk more about that later. If we schedule it, we go, oh, I'm going to have sex Wednesday afternoon. On Monday, what am I thinking about? Ooh, I'm going to have sex on Tuesday. What am I thinking about? On Wednesday early in the morning, what am I thinking about? And all of this will get us ready.
Yeah, definitely. And some of the things that can run through their minds will be, how can I make this good for me? So getting candles or choosing music, making sure there's privacy, little things like that actually all adds towards the experience.
Yeah, if you think of how we got excited when we were young and dating and having our first sexual experiences, what excited us? It was often knowing that we were going to be with our lover and planning it, thinking about it, grooming for it.
Yeah, the anticipation of it.
What underwear are we going to wear? You know, all of this was part of the sexual excitement.
Definitely. And when we have a date with ourselves, we can also look forward to it.
Yes, yes. We can decide which sex toy we're going to use. We can decide how are we going to make time so we're not interrupted, turn off the phone, turn off the computer, lock the door if there's someone to lock it against.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Make sure if you have kids or grandkids that are used to coming in your house unannounced, tell them they've got to call first.
Get them to schedule an appointment because you're busy.
That's right. Say, you may not want to break in on me if you don't know what I'm going to be doing. Trust me on that.
I like that. So we're coming up for a break, and we're with Joan Price, and we are talking about erection dissatisfaction amongst many things. So stay tuned.
Your conscious lifestyle on steroids. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
Have you bought into the idea that you have to work hard for your money, that business is hard? I will share some dynamic access consciousness tools to get you out of your own way so you can create a business that actually succeeds. Join me, Simone Millicers, on The Joy of Business at 4 p.m. Mondays Eastern.
What if living didn't have to be so serious?
What if you could move beyond your problems with greater confidence and ease than you've ever imagined?
Throw your labels out the window and join the Irreverent Therapist for practical tips and a very different way of approaching the changes you would like to create.
Marilyn Bradford
and Pam Hodling
have empowered hundreds of people to come out of self-judgment, quit looking to experts, and begin to create the lives they desire.
Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern on the Irreverent Therapist Show.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of Om Times Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of Om Times. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. What if business could be fun? What if business is the adventure of living? What are you choosing? Where do you do business that makes it easier, more fun, or more joyful for you? We'd love to see where you do business. Connect with us on Instagram at Joy of Business or Twitter at Joy of Business, and share your pictures with hashtags BusinessDoneWhere and Joy of Business. Let's change the world with business. The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
Welcome back to Eros Evolution. We are talking out loud about senior sex with author Joan Price. And you are listening to Om Times Radio Network. And you can share this show with your friends by sending them the link omtimes.com/mobile. With this link, your friends will be able to listen to our show without needing to download any app. Well, with Joan Price once again, and you can find her at joanprice.com and also nakedatOurAge.com. She has a new book called The Ultimate Guide to Sex After 50. You can find this book on Amazon and also order it on joanprice.com. So I'm very interested, Joan, about if you could be willing to share a little bit about your menopause story, because lots of people have hear about it and they don't really know what to expect when it comes to their turn. So I just like to pick your brains a little bit on that.
Oh, I remember menopause well, even though it was a long time ago. I went through menopause at 48, I think, and I'm 72 now, but I will never forget that year of really perimenopause when I was real close, and I didn't heat my house for a year.